Hi, Judge Andrew Napolitano here, and you are on Freedom Watch with my guest this week, my good friend Lawrence Jones, who is campusreform.org's editor-in-chief. Lawrence, I want to talk to you about what the president has been going through. He took a lot of hits this week, but this week he took one that really resonated close to home when the FBI raided not only his attorney's office, but his attorney's office located inside the Trump organization. An FBI that works for him broke down the door of the Trump Organization office pursuant to a search warrant issued by a federal judge at 5:30 in the morning. Do you think, A, this is going too far? Do you think the president's in hot water? And if he's in hot water, do you think he recognizes the significance of all this?
You know, Judge, I'm not a legal mind like you, but I do see where the American people are feeling. As someone that has tried to be fair when it comes to this president and the whole Russia thing, I believe that Russia did try to meddle in our election. I don't believe that Donald Trump was involved with that. But as it relates to the special counsel, one of my biggest concerns when they got involved, Judge, was where were they going to go with this? Once they didn't find any collusion, what was the next step? Because they've wasted all this money on this investigation. It is my personal opinion, Judge, that it appears like there is an attack on the president, and if they cannot get to the president, they plan on squeezing everyone that is close to him to put pressure for them to say something to get some sort of indictment against this president. That may not be happening, Judge, but the appearance of the American public, that seems to be the case.
All right, let me be devil's advocate just a little bit. I understand the president's anger and frustration. I mean, I could almost feel it coming out of the screen when I was watching him on Monday night when the announcement was made about the raiding of his attorney's offices and his attorney's home. And, of course, he referred to this whole thing again as a witch hunt. And then later on this week, he said one of the reasons we are having problems with Russia, relationships between the United States and Russia, is because of the witch hunt here. If this was such a witch hunt, why is it that the president personally ordered sanctions on the 13 Russians whom Bob Mueller indicted for interfering with the election campaign last fall?
Well, the president, is slowly becoming more involved when it comes to the Russia situation on the sanctions as well. But I would push back on those that would criticize the president for wanting to have a relationship with Russia. Remember, George Bush was the same way. Barack Obama was the same way. Every president has gone into their administration saying, look, let's have some type of relationship. And once push comes to shove, Russia has no intention of changing their behavior. And so now the president is slowly getting involved with the sanctions, applying pressure when it comes to his tweeting as well. So I think the president is very frustrated with Russia. But I think part of the reason why the president slow-rolled his involvement on applying pressure was, A, that he wanted to work with them, and 2, there has been this narrative that the president was somehow involved with Russia. They were responsible for his election, and so he has this way when he's talking about Russia to kind of like, oh, no, that's not a big problem at first. But now we see what Russia is doing, and the president, quite frankly, is not interested in working with Russia anymore because they are what they are, what they've been for years.
Let me prevail upon your expertise at having your thumb on the pulse of young people. Earlier today, one of our colleagues, Fred Barnes from the Weekly Standard, was telling another of our colleagues, Stuart Varney from Fox Business, that about 60% of millennials would vote for Democrats in the Congress if the midterm election were held today. Do you agree with that number? And if you do, is that a startling number that the Republicans should be terrified about?
Well, they definitely should be terrified about the number, and I actually saw that poll, my friend, and in that same poll, it said that they also, 60% of those college students had faith in the higher ed institutions, which I would argue, Judge, are creating an environment where progressive policies are coming out.
Right.
But Republicans have some blame as well, Judge. They have focused on a lot of social issues and not sticking to the free market libertarian approach to things. I believe if you really want to get young people inspired. You talk about money. You talk about things that are going to affect their lives on a day-to-day basis. And I believe that the party is not doing such a good job from a messaging standpoint to attract those young voters.
Sometimes I forget why I love you so much. That was absolutely brilliant. But let me ask you, do you sense any movement amongst college students who voted for Trump 2 years ago and now want to see a Democratic Congress? Can you put your finger on the pulse of that, Lawrence?
You know, Judge, I believe right now young people as a whole are pretty progressive. I mean, Donald Trump only got a small percentage of the young people's vote. But even those young people that do support the president, there has been so much harassment on the college campuses.
Right.
I mean, they've been bullied. They ripped their signs down. They've been penalized for making Make America Great Again hats. I mean, there is such a pressure, not only from the students, but these administrators and professors that support Democrats, which is totally fine. But they should not be forcing their political agenda on young people. They should be facilitating the conversation on college campuses. And right now, there is such pressure from the higher ed institutions for these young people to be a part of the left machine. I think it's hard to be a conservative or a libertarian even on college campuses, Judge.
That's why you're there, because you're such a rock of orthodoxy. Lawrence Jones, always a pleasure. See you in New York next time, my friend.
See you, brother.
From New York, defending freedom whenever they let me, Judge Andrew Napolitano. See you next time, America.